And welcome back to the Hot Lap. If you were a fan of Hamilton Mercedes at the Qatar Grand Prix, well, then you were probably bemoaning this picture here. Oh, Lewis Hamilton at that start. We'll get into that start in a bit. This is the Qatar Grand Prix review. So essentially, we are going to be looking at that start. But first, we're going to be looking at our winners and losers, Hamilton taking full responsibility, and the full rundown of the results. But let's get into our winners and losers first. Yes, our winners and losers of the Qatar Grand Prix. So who's it going to be? 3 winners, 3 losers, a mixture, 1 loser, 2 winners? Let's see, our first winner, let's be fair. Yes, Zhou, I mean, absolutely fantastic. The Alfa Romeo driver. He qualified 20th. He finished 9th. It wasn't mentioned too much in the F1 feed, in the Sky feed that I watched. But this guy did really, really well. In an Alfa Romeo that wasn't too great. Bottas showed us that it could be. And to be fair, Bottas scored points as well. But because this guy, he qualified 20th, pretty much started near the back and kept on going forward in what was not the best car. So I think people didn't give this guy enough credit. Massive ups for Zhou. Congratulations. You definitely are a winner in our eyes. Next up is the Qatar Grand Prix. The Qatar Grand Prix loser. Oh, Perez. Sergio, wherefore art thou, my Sergio? He has just not turned up, really, has he? At all, really, since his last win. So, from a pit lane start, he ended up finishing 10th, but he had 3 penalties. I mean, this is a guy that has the fastest car, as we know. It won by Max Verstappen, who did the fastest lap. Now, whilst I appreciate, yes, the car might be difficult for him to drive, no one expects him to be this bad, and he's continuing his bad results, is Mr. Perez. 3 penalties, it's essentially 15 seconds in total that's cost him in the race. He could have been a lot higher. It's still not unrealistic that he could lose to Lewis Hamilton in the points. Absolutely crazy, isn't it? That would have been unthinkable come mid-season. Perez really needs to step it up. I keep saying, hopefully the next race, but really, Sergio, you need to sort it out, don't you? Oh, dear me. So, next up, is it going to be a winner? Is it going to be a loser? Well, Qatar Grand Prix winner, Oscar Piastri. He started 6th. He finished 2nd, around, 5-ish seconds behind Max Verstappen. Well done, Oscar Piastri. What a weekend he had. But when we were looking at the Grand Prix as a whole, he stayed out of trouble. He avoided that first corner melee. 3 into 1 does not go. He avoided that. Alonso kind of got distracted, let's say, by it. And Oscar Piastri comes through the cloud into 2nd. So it didn't really give Max too much of a run for his money, although he was always there and he was always a potential threat had a safety car come out or had Max had any issues, with Lando Norris, his teammate, catching him towards the end, seemingly not wanting to go down that team orders route, saying pretty much Lando says no to any team orders. Then Oscar had to step up. Step up he did. Well done, Oscar Piastri. Fantastic. So that's pretty much our winners and losers. But let's get into that. Let's get into that start. I mean, oh my gosh. Lewis Hamilton, you had to feel for him. He got a really good start, didn't he? He got an amazing start. I mean, here we go. Here it is. He's out there. He's on the outside of both. So I've nearly said Sergio Perez then. No, he's on the outside of both. Obviously, Verstappen, who got pole, and Russell. He did get. Hamilton did get the best start, but you can see he's the third car to the as you're looking at it, third car to the right, and he's got all that space there. He chooses not to use that space, as 3 into 1 it seems won't go. When you look at all the angle of the cars, that's a bit of a closer shot. I mean, it's just not good, really, is it, for anyone? It's in a way, it's lucky that all 3 didn't take themselves out. That would have made for a very interesting race, though, wouldn't it? Especially between the 2 McLarens. But there we go. There's the hit. It affects George Russell. It affects Hamilton a lot more. There's Hamilton's wheel saying, "See you later," and wow. I mean, this is the onboard that Russell had. Nothing Russell could have done. Hamilton has put his hands up. We'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, Russell, to be fair, he was nearly one of our winners as well, if I'm honest. He had an absolutely amazing race, didn't he, afterwards? He really put pedal to the metal and had another safety car happen, which it didn't, which I was quite surprised at. But had another safety car happen, he may well could have finished on the podium. That Mercedes was fast here at Qatar. So, fantastic. I mean, let's get into, before we get into the results, let's talk about young Sir Lewis Hamilton here. This is from planetf1.com. And Lewis Hamilton said that after watching the replay, he takes full responsibility for his opening lap crash with Mercedes teammate. Now, with Russell starting P2, Hamilton P3, the latter, as we know, used his soft tyres to get that spectacular start, looking to maybe pass those two people, and that didn't happen. But as Hamilton committed to that outside line, disaster struck when that Mercedes duo collided, sending Hamilton spinning off into the gravel and sadly out of the race. Now Hamilton, he's put his hands up and he accepts responsibility for that George Russell shunt. And in the immediate aftermath, he basically said, "I've just been taken out by my teammate." He said, "Okay, fair enough. Crosswords, I imagine." But there you go. But when the safety car came out, Russell then had a chance to watch the replay back on the big screens, and he reached his own conclusion. Initially, he was like, oh no. But then, "So sorry, guys, I wasn't even looking behind. I just focused ahead, and he came from nowhere." Bleeping lost for words. Honestly, I've just seen the replays on the TV screen. Couldn't do anything. Totally sandwiched. It's blinking lap 1. So Hamilton would later, though, take to social media to accept blame for the incident, and he accepted blame in the interview as well, to be fair to him. "I've watched the replay and it was 100% my fault and I take full responsibility." Hamilton posted, "Apologies to my team and to George." Russell was able to continue in the Qatar Grand Prix, and as we know, he recovered to a magnificent P4, with Max Verstappen taking a magnificent victory. And then McLaren making it back-to-back double podium, Piastri crossing the line ahead of Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton is still subject, though, to a post-race investigation, having crossed the track as he made that exit to the crash team, going against the FIA rules. So, there we go. I was, to be fair, if it wasn't for Perez's shocking 3 penalties, he may well have been one of our losers, let's say, of the race. But alas, he's got Sergio Perez to thank for that. But here is the finishing positions. Let's start from the back. So Carlos Sainz, Carlos, he didn't even start, did he, with a fuel issue there? So sad. But Hamilton did start, and we were just talking about that. Oops, daisy. Logan Sargent called it quits, but fair play to him. He looked, like he struggled. He wasn't the only one. I think Ocon came out after the race saying he felt quite sick. He wanted to be sick. Nico Hulkenberg, so the first of the classified finishers, though, was Liam Lawson, 1 lap behind in 17th. A average weekend, I think, for Lawson. It's good that we say that in a way, because we have been expecting so much from him. There are rumours that Ricciardo could be back for America, but it's not set in stone yet. So Nico Hulkenberg is 16th, Tsunoda in 15th, Kevin Magnussen in the other Haas in 14th. Average, I guess, kind of made you where you expected them, because it wasn't that funny race. I was thinking safety cars are plenty, but it didn't really happen. Albon finishing 13th in the Williams. It did look like at some point he was going to score some points, didn't it? But I think that's the best, really, that he could do. I mean, this is not the Alex Albon of the Red Bull years. This is the Alex Albon of Williams. And he gets the best out of the car, I think. And if 13th is the best place he could finish, then it was going to be 13th. Pierre Gasly, a couple of cheeky moves, really. He got a penalty, didn't he, for passing off the track. Did he push, George Russell quite wide as well? Or one of the drivers, I think it was George, in the race. I don't want to say nasty, but a bit over the line, I think, some of his moves. Lance Stroll 11th, not too bad for Lance Stroll, considering the absolute shocker of a weekend he's had. Sergio Perez finishing 10th, Zhou finishing in 9th, and really, really good. One of our people of the race, Perez. Well, what more can be said about him, really, that hasn't? Well done to Bottas, a really good qualifying, a solid 8th, fantastic. And Zhao, despite, starting almost the other end of the grid to Bottas, only finishing 10 seconds behind. Well done. Esteban Ocon in 7th. I mean, a nice quarter points for the Alpine team. And then we've got Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso. He made that rare mistake, didn't he? He went off and then he almost needed a tom-tom to get back on the track. But well done to Fernando Alonso. 5th, Charles Leclerc, the lone Ferrari. Kind of, yeah, he was there. Not really anonymous, but he didn't really feature, did he, in any kind of potential podium fight. Unlike George Russell, who finished 4th. I mean, well done to George. He was nearly one of the men/drivers of the driver of the race. Absolutely brilliant, I think. It set sparks under his bum, I'd imagine, that first, not literally, obviously, that first corner crash, and I thought he did really, really well. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, obviously 3rd and 2nd, respectively. Well done to the McLaren team. I mean, 4.8 seconds behind Verstappen. That's not bad at all, is it? I mean, I know Verstappen may well have gone a bit faster, but still, McLaren have to be happy with that from where they came from. Well done to Oscar. I mean, Norris, you have to wonder what could have been. One of these McLarens potentially could have been on pole. I mean, Norris said so himself. Their race was not that dissimilar to Max Verstappen. I think in terms of, it's one of the closer races we've had of the year, which is saying something. But Max Verstappen, brilliant, I don't know, kind of what you expect really from him now in that Red Bull machine. You expect him to win. You expect him to get pole. It happens. It's almost to the point where Red Bull have done such a fantastic job. It's not quite newsworthy. I know it is, but it's kind of expected. It's more newsworthy if he doesn't do well. And yesterday with Oscar Piastri beating him in the sprint race. But let's wait till we go to the USA, and I imagine that's going to be another Red Bull track. But don't worry, in the meantime, we will have plenty of talking points, plenty of episodes. This has been the Hot Lap. Once again, thank you for everyone that's liking, subscribing, commenting. I will get back. I will get to the comments. I promise. And thank you. Any watchers. If you made it to the end, you're an F1 champion. Is so appreciated. We will see you next time. I think the next video, the next big-ish video we're looking at get up is will be the Qatar Grand Prix as a weekend, the tier list. But there we go. This has been the Hot Lap.